Hello everyone, I'm Driven by Will and this is my review of the Lexus GS300. So here it is then, the Lexus GS300, and straight off the bat, I have to say that this is a pretty fantastic car. I think it's honestly one of the most complete cars that you can buy today for the money. Stick around to find out why. This is the Mark II GS, which was first released in 1998, which, give or take a few months, actually makes it the same age as me. And I have to say it's in much better condition than I am, that's for sure. This is the oldest car I've ever owned, and yet despite that it's got by far and away the most features of any car I've had the privilege of daily driving, and rightly so, since this is the GS300 SE, or special equipment. Inside it's got air conditioning which works, it's got an auto dimming rear view mirror, and it's got heated leather seats that can be electronically adjusted. Now, these features may not seem like a particularly big deal by today's standards, but at the time when this car was launched, only its most luxurious contemporaries like the Mercedes-Benz E-Class or BMW 5 Series or Jaguar S-Type would have had. This was a car that aimed to compete with the very best in its class, and competition was fierce. For very similar money, you could have taken home a new BMW E39, the 530i SE. Like the Lexus, it had a 3-litre straight-six engine, but the Beamer produced 230 horsepower compared to the Lexus's 219, and it boasted a 0 to 62 time of 6.9 seconds, compared to the comparatively slow 8.2 seconds from the Lexus. So, the Lexus needed an edge, and boy did it have one. Lexus, being the luxury arm of Toyota, had one heck of a trump card to play, the 2JZ, or 2JZ for my American viewers, an engine made iconic by the likes of the legendary Toyota Supra. This one's the 2JZ GE though, so no turbos in here. If you wanted the full Ausbau version, you'd have needed to buy the twin-turbo Toyota Aristo, which was near enough the same car as the GS300, except just more geared towards sportiness than luxury. I suppose you could say it was for those that wanted to razz rather than waft. Now, while this may be just about the least powerful version of the 2JZ out there, it still carries all the benefits when it comes to reliability. The 2JZ is well known for being pretty much bulletproof. As long as you look after it well, service it properly, it will just go on forever. Unfortunately, the same can't be said about the aforementioned 5 Series. That had BMW's M54 engine, which, although it was a great engine, was prone to some pretty serious flaws, such as failure with the variable valve timing. And that could lead to, well, frankly, horrendous repair bills. Yet despite this, people flocked to buy the BMW 5 Series, while the Lexus 300 was somewhat overlooked. Sales were slow, and that means there aren't that many on the road today, especially ones like this, the Sport design. What's more, whilst the Lexus and its rivals all had their fair share of gizmos inside, the GS300 offered a level of comfort simply not found in any other cars in its price bracket. Whichever seat you're in, the full leather and huge armrests make this even more comfortable than a sofa, and it's probably cheaper than one too. I love how much storage there is here in the cabin too. You've got regular armrest storage, you've got secret armrest storage, you've got cup holders right where you want them in hand's reach, you've got coin storage, glove box storage, door card storage, sunglass storage. It's amazing. Do you know what? There's even a little tray down here that pops out to hold your credit card. Which is very convenient because a big credit card is exactly what you need if you want to run this car on a daily basis. Economy is shockingly poor. Even by the standards of other 3-litre cars of its time, the GS300 laughs in the face of polar bears and scoffs at climate change boffins. The reported combined economy figure for this is 22.9 miles to the gallon, which, whichever way you look at it, is pretty poor. And to be honest, I'm finding even that to be a bit generous, achieving something in the region of 18 miles to the gallon myself. Pretty spenny. Hey everyone, just before we get back to the video, just wanted to announce the winner of the competition giveaway in my last video. His name was Anthony. He guessed correctly that I was driving a Lexus GS, and here is his t-shirt. Anthony, this was really fun to draw. I love your Land Rover Discovery, and this is in the post for you now, on its way to you. With the GS300, it's all about detail, like the little things like how the wheel comes out to you when you turn on the ignition, almost as if to say, "Your wheel, sir, and can I get you anything else today? Perhaps I can take the chill out of the leather for you?" Well, certainly. Like, it's so extra. Like, I have enough room to get my legs in, regardless of whether the wheel comes out 1 inch, but it's just like, it just makes you feel nice. And to be honest, the heated seats, well, don't really do anything more than that, take the chill out, because there's 2 settings, on or off. Not like these modern cars that have different temperatures, but to be honest, that's all I need on a cold morning, just to warm up my behind before I turn it off inevitably, because I'm trying to preserve my fuel economy. Once you've filled up, it's time to find yourself a nice straight road to cruise on and discover where this car comes into its own. I've never felt safer in a car than when I'm in this GS. It's so big and broad and present, and I almost feel cocooned in this big comfy leather chair and an armrest. It's like a throne, and it feels solid and well built. There's no squeaks and rattles really from the interior, and even the interior plastics feel somewhat premium. There's practically no road noise from outside the car either, and though sporty, the engine can be quiet if you're gentle with your right foot. Cornering isn't great, but it's definitely not the worst I've ever driven. And if you do turn off traction control or electronic stability control, then you can find that this does like to stick the back end out a little bit if you're that way inclined. I'm not. Now, I'd like to talk about the exterior for a moment, what it looks like, because for me, that's where the GS really starts to polarize opinion. On the sport design model, you have this lower, larger front lip, you have the rear wing on the back, and it just makes it look a bit meaner, a bit more sporty, which personally, I really like. You also have this blacked out front grille, which didn't come as standard, but it's kind of like a Tom's style Japanese front grille, sort of like what you'd see on an EP Honda Civic. Really nice, really like that. And of course you can see this one is sat on non-stock wheels. Sadly, I can't tell you what they are. I'd really like to, but I don't know. But they look fantastic, I hope you agree. And really adds to the car and really adds to sort of that mean stance look. And for me, that's where this car's a bit confusing. Again, another thing, these sort of slightly aggressive bug eye style split headlights and tail lights, which personally I really like, but I know a lot of people don't. The car is sat a few millimetres lower than standard as well. In the boot, there's plenty of room for two bodies, which might come in handy for blacked out GS drivers. And if we close the boot, we've got this big rear wing slapped on the back, which leads me very nicely onto my next point. Let me show you one more thing. Look at this. Power mode. Pressing it does two things. The first thing it does is shorten the gear ratio, so it's geared more towards faster acceleration than it is towards top speed. It essentially uses the higher rev range, changes gear a little bit later than it typically would. And the second thing it does is put an enormous grin across your face, because all of a sudden that smooth, understated cruiser rips off its tuxedo and becomes, well, a little bit of a beast. And it's that split personality that this car has that doesn't quite make sense to me. In fact, well, no, it makes perfect sense to me, but I'm quite an unusually specific target audience, and outside of car enthusiasts and the like, I can't really see who would want this car. What is it trying to be? It's not a sports car, it's a luxury saloon, and the reason why the likes of Mercedes or BMW can get away with a more sporty car is because of their racing heritage. You know, people can expect a fruitier flavour from M-Series cars or AMG cars. But this is a Lexus, commonly bought by people that buy it because it's easy to get in and out of, not because you can slap it into sport mode. The Lexus GS300 was deliberately understated in its original form, so why slap a massive rear wing on it and give it sport mode?
And I think that's why the GS wasn't a massive hit in the same way as its rivals. It's a car that seems to have been aimed at a fairly niche group of driving enthusiasts that could appreciate a good car when they saw one and, crucially, didn't want to follow the crowd. The result is a truly well-rounded and well-built car that frankly slipped under the radar of mainstream motoring.
And you know what? I respect Lexus for sticking with it. The GS platform lives on today in various forms. There were models that followed this one, and it's popular among car enthusiasts. But you don't see that many on the roads, at least here in the UK, because sales were pretty slow. It makes this, the Mark II, a real bargain buy, especially since there are so few and prices are still so low. That is, of course, a bargain if you didn't have to fill it up with fuel every day. And with that, it's back to the petrol station.